Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. It's Bear here. I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, aboxwithnolid, a channel I'm creating to not only bring awareness and understanding, but also to advocate for change and to delve into the mechanics and the mechanisms of complex trauma so that we can create paths to heal. Now, this video is a little bit more on the advocacy side and the bringing awareness side. But in recent discussions that I've had and a few questions that have been asked, and in some of the reminders I've had in my own recent experiences, I feel it's important to raise this again. I've touched upon it in other videos, but I feel it is important to raise it again, is this real obstacle between what the textbook says is available and what is really available in the reality of our world when you're looking at pathways of healing trauma. And how much small groups of statistics are taken completely out of context and manipulated and used to justify things that do not work with one of the most predominant areas of trauma. And that, of course, is, the production line therapies, the talking therapies that are there. And this is not to criticize any of the therapists out there, new practitioners. But society and government, believe that talking therapies will fix everything. You go to a counselor, you'll fix no matter what you've been through. And that is just simply not the case. And I'm making this video to validate so many of you out there because of, I know the day-to-day struggles. I live the day-to-day struggles. And, recently I've been with what's been put forward and asked of me by some people, been put in a position where one of the positions that I really struggle with is where you cannot do anything to help. You cannot actually change what is happening for their lives because of their circumstance and because there is no resource around them. And that is one of the greatest difficulties in healing trauma. Is the only way we will truly heal is we need to live and be part of a physical ecology that supports us too. And that is, it's not going to a practitioner for an hour a week to fix. We need to 24/7 live in this ecology to support our body to go, well, I'm safe, I can release, access, process, and heal. My environment will actually change. Therefore, I can resolve and step out of survival into a more processing and healing, pathway in my life through experience. That is one of the greatest challenges when you're trying to work with trauma, particularly complex trauma and early childhood. Because, as I've said in countless videos, how we will recreate these cycles, we will recreate these environments, we need to have the support to change. And that support in the Western world particularly is not cheap. And nobody wants to or has the resources to pay. And if you've lived through trauma, you sure as hell don't have the resources to fund that environmental change. To validate this, throughout, modern history, the way to approach mental health was asylums. Create these hospitals, stick them away, controlled environment. Everything is managed and controlled, therefore you can access trauma to heal. It didn't work because of the types of environments where people were taken. But the concept is right, is we need to be part of an environment that supports us to change. Whilst we live in a threatening environment, we won't. We can't. Because, the moment we drop our guard, the threats are going to, overwhelm us. And this is where the difference between the textbook and the reality lies. How do we work with this? Is we need to participate in our own healing. We need to take the time to learn what we need to begin to make the small changes where we can within our own environment. We need to understand that the world outside won't do it, as hard as it is to say. The world won't, and the system won't. We need to create an ecology that supports us ourselves as best we can, and then create it in such a way where we can grow the next layer and the next layer and the next layer of support. That's one of the primary purposes why I'm creating this channel. Is it's not throwing a bunch of information at you and going change your life. It's not recommending some products and selling them to you and go change your life. It's going, you need to learn, you need to be aware, you need to realize, you need to take the power back of your own process of decision making and gradually enact all these micro little changes in your own ecology to grow an ecology that will support you to change over time. There is no quick fix. I've said that numerous times. But it is growing an ecology that supports you. It's removing the people from your lives that harm you. It's bringing the people in that you actually connect with and are actually supportive in a positive way. Not just in a validating way, but a positive way. Ones that motivate you to make these little changes from moment to moment and day to day. To grow a garden. To grow the resources and seeds to help you change. And it's also to take the time to learn, to understand your own particular needs, and do the research in what therapies, if you choose that path, are actually going to benefit you for your circumstances. You know, I've said it in a couple of videos, and I do not mean any offense to any practitioners out there. But talking therapies don't touch complex multiple type, multiple event trauma. It is well documented and the studies back it up. So those that have gone through complex multiple type and multiple event need other resources, other types of supportive therapies. And the majority of those therapies in the Western medical construct are highly cost prohibitive, because you need to be immersed in an environment that supports change. And the creating of that environment is expensive. So we need to start to, as a society, change the way we view healing trauma by not thinking that we can just send somebody to be fixed. We need to start to understand the behaviors that are around us and why they are happening, and participate in changing the ecologies and the environments that create those behaviors. As difficult as that is. This is why trauma is so isolating, is because society, the people around, don't understand, and deliberately in most instances choose not to. So what can we do? This is why, where I was put in the last few weeks, and why I've hesitated making this particular video, is because it is so difficult to go, there is these obstacles to actually helping, because of what we need is this environment that supports us. And no one in the Western world gets that, because the Western world has been so devoid from societal familial structures that support that. You go to non-Western countries where there is a strong cultural familial base. That base, within that mechanism, you can work with to create this environment. But in this modern Western world, where everything is about dissociation and distraction, avoidance and removal of accountability, it makes it very, very difficult. As I said to these people that I was talking to that made me, raise this up in me to make this video, the only positive thing we can do is to help ourselves. And the only way we can do that is to, one, the biggest decision we ever have to make when we're healing trauma is, I need to change. Not to condone, not to accept, but what I'm doing now isn't working. I need to find ways to change. And I need to take the approach to learn how to create a positive ecology that supports me and what I want to do. And do everything you can to build that, millimeter by millimeter, footstep by footstep, brick by brick. Just build that base, that ecology that supports you. In other videos I said, don't expend your resources until you have a surplus. That's part of it. There are a lot of videos that feed into this in my previous videos on my channel. But that's all we can really do. And before you spend what little resources you have on a therapeutic pathway, do your research and find out if that therapy actually suits and works with your experience of trauma. And by having that understanding, you can better allocate the resources you have and don't fall down the road that so many do, spending what little they have and then not having the resources to gain access to what you actually need. That is the best advice that I can give you. And I'm not telling you to not do anything, not get help and not get therapy. But do the research into the therapies you have available and find ones that actually work. There are loads of resources online to read and understand the inner workings of how effective therapies are in certain types of trauma. There are loads of forums out there where you can find people that have gone through different types of therapies and what worked and what didn't, so you can create this understanding to help yourself. Because in the reality in our world, the only way we're going to better heal and is to create an ecology that supports us, ourselves, and then grow that ecology through connection and interactions with others. Now, yes, I'm aware this video is a little messy, and I will respond to any of your guys' questions. And I will do more videos on this because, as I said, it's one of these things where I'm trying to find something definitive to offer you guys. But the theory is there. The reality isn't. And it's how we can create that reality is where our healing and our, rebuilding our lives lies. So it's focusing on that physical environment. So as always, I love you guys' feedback. Please be kind and gentle and respectful. And I will see you next time. Hope.